Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is Poolsbrook Country Park. I'm here today for the match winners final. Today we've got about 30 anglers that have all won a match here on this venue this summer, and today we're all competing for that winners title. We've got a bit of a wind blowing. I have got the feeder gear with me, but it has been getting dominated with pole fishing, so I have brought the pole along with me as well. Depending on where I draw, I could be fishing both of those tactics. So we're just about to draw over there. Chris Butler is doing the draw, and hopefully I'm going to draw a peg that's going to give me half a chance. Peg 36, not something that I really know much about. I have been round this corner, I think it's down here to the right. I have been down there once before, but the first time I ever came here, and I caught some fish very short there. I caught about 5 metres. So I'll see what the wind's like when I get down there. My barrow's already loaded up because no matter where I drew today, I was going to be leaving the van here so that Dad is near the cafe and the toilets all day, so he's all right. So I haven't got as long a walk as what I had before. So when I get down to the peg, I'm all loaded up, as you can see, and I'll see you down at the peg. That should be the one, 36. Well, that's different scenery. I've never been as far down this arm. This is where it narrows up before you get down into the main body of the lake, which is to the left. This is where it narrows up. Bit of a ripple on it, which is nice. This tree's going to hold some wind off me as well, which might make it better for filming. So I've got about an hour and a half, I think, so I'm going to quickly get set up and I'll talk you through everything once I've decided what I'm going to do. Well, the hardest thing at the minute is going to be seeing where I'm casting. That sun's causing a few problems. It's very awkward plumbing up as well on the pole. So I'm just going to talk you through everything now. There's a few minutes before the off. I've got to be absolutely honest, I wasn't going to put the pole up, just purely because of the wind, because it's a little bit deeper than I expected, and the bottom is really uneven. There's lots of rocks and stuff there, which I thought it was going to be easier to plumb up, obviously with a pole, than dropping a feeder on there, but it's the rocks that make it difficult, and I didn't think there were as many up here. I thought, you know, there weren't rocks close in, so however there is. So I'm just going to quickly show you what I've got while I've got chance. I've got two 12-footers set up, two commercial 12-foot pros, because I'm putting a line in out there. I've got a line out there. I've seen the odd bream, and I don't know about carp, but certainly the odd bream get caught long over there, so occasionally. So I've got a line clipped up at 50 metres, which is not far off that other bank, to be fair. But I've got two rods set up on that. I've got a method feeder and a conventional feeder. I'm going to start on a method just because I don't really want to be casting out there with maggots and pinkies and worms and stuff. And from past experience, you can get plagued with those tiny little fish. I don't want to do that at 50 metres. At least with a method feeder, it means that if it goes round, the chances are it's going to be a net fish. So I've got that set up there. I'll just quickly show you that now. So I've got just all these ones for you, then you've seen everything. Horizon Pro 12 foot. All right, and I'm going to kick off with a 30 gram open method feeder, as you can see there. Just kick off with that. It's clipped up at 50 metres, 8-pound Horizon line, just the usual. It's got to be free running, and barbless hooks, size 14 carp method hook. The other feeder rod setup that I've got is for a shorter line, so it's basically for fishing long pole range. All right, so there's lots of pole anglers here today, some very good pole anglers, and on that long pole it can be a great line to fish, but I'm not going to do it with the pole just because I haven't done anything like that for years. So I've had as much success with a small cage feeder on that line. So I've got an 11-foot slim set up with braid, up and down shot leader, free running rig, simple as that. And I've got that clipped up at 12 metres. So the range is just past that, 'cause it's 12 plus the actual rod. So that's the other line. So I've got 12 metres and I've got 50 metres. Now the other short line for the pole, I intend on fishing it almost pretty much to hand. Okay, so that is well, it's top kit plus one, simple as that. Top kit plus one, and my rig finishes just there. So I'm hoping that if I am catching fish on that, if there are lots of small fish, I can basically just swing them to hand. But I've still got, you know, a reasonably shorter lash, so I'm not really fishing it to hand as such. As you can see there, just spaced out, so I've got 3 droppers there, and then I've just got a small spread bulk there. It's a 1/2 gram float. I'll show you the float that I've got, and that is a 1/2 gram, flip it around the other side, finesse wire. So it's a wire stem, obviously because the conditions. Wire stem will just give it some stability. 1/2 gram. I could probably get away with one a little bit heavier, but that's what I've got. Finesse slim wire, okay, and that is it basically. It's about a number. The grade of the elastic is number 8. Okay, so you know, I'm hoping that's going to be all right for any roach, perch, and that sort of thing. But it will handle any bonus bream and possibly tench if I'm going to hook any. But I've got some sections of pole behind me if I've got to chase any fish out. I've just got to be absolutely honest with this. If this works right, then I shall obviously stick with it. If it's not right, I won't be afraid to drop a cage feeder on that line, even though it's very, very short. I have only ever fished up here, I think, once before, and I caught some fish late on at 5 metres with a feeder, cage feeder, just like we do at Tamar Lakes and places like that. So if I'm struggling to present it properly, or I'm missing bites, or it just doesn't feel right, I can easily just drop a cage feeder there, which might be a better approach if those fish are going to come in. The biggest issue with this line is obviously what stamp the fish are going to be. There have been lots and lots of fish that size, and some people here today will spend 5 hours, the full 5 hours, fishing for those from back to back. That is it, that's all they will do, you know, and I'm suspecting you're going to need a minimum, I don't think £15 is going to be enough. I think you'll need nearer £20 today. The wind's not blowing here, it's blowing down to those early pegs. There's 1 or 2 really good anglers down there. Whether that's going to make any difference to the fishing down there, I don't know. So that is it. I'm a little bit apprehensive, I'll be honest with you, because the method feeder line can be very much hit and miss, and the cage line, it can be a line where, you know, the 12-metre line where you're catching spells. You know, you might catch 2 and then nothing for 45 minutes. It can be like that, and this short line is a little bit of an unknown, I'll be absolutely honest with you. And because of the stamp of the fish being so small, I'm not going to feed maggots on that line, I'm just going to feed casters. That's all I've got. I've got 2 pints of casters, that is it. And I'm just going to kick it off with a bowl of ground bait. I'm going to cup a bowl of ground bait in on it. The ground bait that I've got, just so you know, is just a 100% mix of F1 green, just because I'm confident in it, and it's not too strong. You know, it's not one of the strongest mixers, fish meal wise, and it's sweet as well and fine. So it's just a middle of the road kind of banker mix if I'm not sure about, you know, exactly what other mix to use. And that's it. As regards the method feeder, I've got a combination here of F1 pellets and the ground bait as well. Okay, so it's 2 to 1, so it's 2 measures of the pellets to 1 of ground bait. And that is it. We're fishing 10. We're not fishing 5 hours, we're fishing 5.5. 10 until 3:30. So I'm going to feed my pole line first. It's only on the top 4. I'll put 1 little ball of ground bait in. That's the F1. So all I'm going to, and then some casters over the top. And that is it. I can obviously lose feed on this line, so I can build this up steady as the day goes on. And if the fish are going to turn up on it, it could literally be the last hour. But I can keep feeding it all day. But like I say, if it's not quite right, if there's too many of these fish, I'm not going to set my stall out to fish for them for 5 hours. I'm just not going to do it. You know, it's not something that I've been doing. These lads have been doing it week in, week out. So I'm not going to try and take them on at that. But if it's working all right, I'm getting the odd stamp fish and they're a little bit bigger than I'll stick with it. So there we go. Good luck, lads. Just going to cut that in. I've just found a spot in between those rocks where it's not too bad. That sun's gone in now. That's it. I can easily just keep loose feeding casters on that line and build that line up. So the next line I'm going to feed is my 12-metre line. I'll keep calling it 12 metres even though it's a bit longer than that because of the length of the rod. I'm not going to go too mad with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 in with the ground bait and micro pellet combination. Might actually be able to underarm onto that line today. Just get my far bank marker There we go. That's it. It's on the clip. I'm going to put one of them in. Then the next one I'm going to put in with some natural baits, some casters and a bit of chopped worm. Like I say, I don't know how long it's going to be before I'm going to be having a look on this line, because it really depends on what happens on the method feeder. So I'll just check that out. I'm just going to put one in now with a combination. I've got some dead reds there. Got some dead reds, some casters, some chopped worm. I'm going to put one more after this in, but just ground bait. Only lightly squeezing that in because I want it to empty straight away. It's not mega deep or anything. It's just at bottom. I'll give you an idea how deep it is. Just give that a few seconds. Check that out. And then I'm just going to put one more in with just ground bait. I'm going to empty this one a little bit off bottom just to create some cloud. So that wind's getting stronger. That should create a nice cloud at half depth and down. So that's it. So I'm just going to start the method feeder and just see what that brings. One thing you're not going to get today, unless there's plenty of people walking about, is information about what's been caught. You can't see anybody. You literally just sat pleasure fishing. So unless there is anyone walking about, I'm not going to know what's been caught. So you just really got to get your head down and fish your own match. So this is a 30-gram open method feeder, and like I say, all I'm going to feed on this long line is ground bait and pellets, just because I don't want to attract those little fish. I don't really want to be casting 50 metres to catch those fish. I've got to allow for this wind as well. These 30-gram feeders, whilst I do like them, the wind can really catch them. There we go. It wasn't quite as hard as what I should have done, but it is on the clip, it is alright, but I don't want to go spreading bait everywhere now. So whilst that might be probably about a metre short because the line wasn't as tight as I wanted it, I'm still going to fish it. Right then, let's set this stopwatch. I've got the counter here. Give that 10 minutes, I think. Obviously I can keep building up this short line. I've no idea what to expect on that line. There might be fish up in the water, little fish, which might make it difficult catching them. I haven't set any shallow rigs up or anything like that, like some of the other lads would do. Like I say, it's a bit of a throwaway line for me today, but if I've got to fish it, then I will fish it. But I will be fishing it with little balls of ground bait as well on the bottom, because I want a really good chance of catching a bream or two on it, because unless you're going to fish it back to back for 5 hours for them, you're just not going to get the weight that you need, and I've already said, I'm not going to do that for 5 hours. I'm only going to do it for a percentage of the match. So that's it. I'm fishing mono on this, in case you're wondering. 8-pound mono. I have got an 8-pound shot leader. A couple of reasons for that is, one is I do prefer to fish a method feeder with mono, but the other reason as well is, there is a chance of hooking a carp, or a tench, and I'd much rather be playing big fish like that on mono and not braid. But it's a self-hooking way of fishing it. Either a free running rig I've got on, the bite should be obvious. Well, that's 2 10-minute casts. I'm not going to spend any longer on this. One of the reasons why I like to feed pellets on this line is because when I come off it, you're leaving some bait out there, you're leaving some micro pellets on the bottom, which are a little bit less inclined to get eaten by those little fish. So you're kind of setting it up sort of thing for next time. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to lightly load this feeder with some pellets, a little bit extra on the top. And all I'm going to do with this is just basically put one out there, just so that I'm guaranteeing I'm leaving a little bit of better bait out there. This will be the third feeder full that's gone out there. So I'm just going to leave some pellets out there, and then I'm going to have a quick look on that 12 metre line, just see if there are any fish there. obviously I'm still feeding those casters on that short line. I'm not hearing anything about how it's fishing. Sometimes, even though you can't see the anglers around you, you can often hear them dropping fish in the net if they are catching fish on the pole or whatever. But I haven't heard anything, no splashing or anything like that. But like I say, you just got to get your head down and fish your own match and make your decisions based on what's happening, haven't you? I did get a hook length ready, but I'll be honest, I'm not too happy with that one, so I'm going to change it. I'm just going to put one of our F1 hooks on. There is a barbless hook rule on this venue. The sun keeps going behind those clouds. I do apologise if it keeps spoiling the frame for you. Probably keep getting silhouettes and things. But at least I can see where I'm casting now anyway. Just going to kick off, put a couple of pinkies on. Just to kick off with, just to see if there's anything there. I don't want to leave this line too long without topping it up. Obviously I've had two 10-minute casts on that longer line, so you know, we're half an hour in. And one thing is, when if you blindly top up a line, like I could have just simply topped this line up without even going on it, I wouldn't have known if anything was there. You know, you're topping it up and you don't really know if there have been any fish there. You know, fish might have come in, eaten what you put in and then gone again, or it might, all that bait I put in at the start might still be there if there aren't any fish there. So just got a 30cm hook length, 20 gram feeder. Just got a couple of pinkies on just to get a feel for what might be there. I'm not going to bother with a stopwatch on this. Obviously I've got to keep them casters going in on that short line. Oh, it looks like a little fish rattle there straight away. Just give it benefit of the doubt. I'm obviously hoping those little tiny fish aren't going to be there. But quite often when you're feeding natural baits, they are, you know, they just come in for the maggots, the pinkies. Maybe not so much caster. I haven't fished that much caster on here. Yeah, I'm not happy with that. I don't know if that bait's been smashed on the way down, but no, there's no sign there. I've got an up and down leader on this, which basically means you know, it's about 5 metre leader. Just because I'm fishing at such short range, you know, if you're fishing braid directs, I just don't like it. You know, if you're going to hook any decent bream at such short range, I know this is a lovely soft rod, I think it's just a little bit too harsh. Interesting to see what happens now. I'm hoping I'm going to get some reactions on this. If not, I'm not just going to flog it and flog it. I'll be having a quick look on that pole line. Like I said, the pole has been dominating, but I don't think it's been dominating everywhere. You know, there are some pegs better than others. And because I've fed that line so short, even if it is going to produce, it might not produce well, you know, this afternoon. If there aren't loads of small fish there on this line, at least it's going to give me a chance to fish it properly. But obviously you still want to be catching. That was an indication there. That looks like that was a definite indication there. This is a 1 ounce tip I've got in today. You can get quite a bit of tow on here sometimes. Yeah, they're the wrong fish. I'm sure they're not what we're after. Yeah, that one's bladdered the maggot, that one. So already those small fish are there. Interesting to see what they are though. I don't want to go dismissing or changing anything yet, because I have had this before, and when I've caught one, they've been 4 ounce skimmers, which are what you want to catch, you know. But sometimes they're literally ½ ounce fish. Got to remember to keep those casters going in on that short line. Straight away that time. Just put double red on that time. This could be a little skimmer. We'll net him, just so I'm not too close to that pole line. It is a skimmer, not a big one, but that was instant, that, as soon as it went in, as you saw while I was tightening up. We're off the mark anyway. That was just on double dead red. Just nice on these size 16 F1 hooks, really nice and sharp. I'm not going to keep sticking my tip right down under the water there because it's a bit close to that pole line. Don't want to risk ruining that line. Keeping them casters going in, so that tip's just rattle again there. If we're going to be getting quick bites and certainly catching the fish like what I've just caught there, then I wouldn't be against having the rod on my knee, just so that you can pick up on those quick bites easier rather than just butt resting it, and sitting and see that was a pull. Well, they're not ideal, these. I see that one's come off anyway. That was similar size, which is quite a bit better than they have been in the past. Even if they're not really big fish, if they're coming as quick as that, then you're going to take that, aren't you? Just putting a few dead reds through now. Not as many casters. I don't really want to be putting casters on the hook. Quick bites. You can see the size of these fish. You can see how they're more suited to pole fishing. I'm just going to give it another few minutes just to see if I can pick out a better fish. Obviously fish of that size, if I am going to be catching them, or if I need to catch them, then obviously it's going to be better if I can catch them on that pole line at 4 meters, but I can obviously have a quick look on that just to see if there are any fish there. I'm only feeding casters on that line, so that could make a difference to the stamper fish, or maybe the species, but like I say, I haven't done it before, so I don't know what to expect. That wind keeps getting a little bit stronger. I'm sure somebody said it was going to get stronger as the day went on. That was a better bite. It's a better fish. I'm guessing this is a skimmer. Can't see because of the sun now. That's a better stamp, isn't it? That's really encouraging to get one that stamp. And much better if they kept coming, wouldn't it? Keep them casters going in on that line. Last few casts, all I've fed are just dead reds. Cut the casters out. I'm not putting any worms in at the minute. I put some in initially, as you saw at the start, but it'll be interesting to see how long we can catch on this. Especially if we're going to get the odd net fish as well. Another better bite. Thought I was going to have to bite wine then. It's another one. That's really encouraging, isn't it? I think I'm going to have to keep them at that side, I think. Try and net them over here. Well, fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant. Didn't expect that so early. Just shows you, when I said to you earlier that those really little fish, where I was getting those bites, it would have been easy to quickly just sack it off, and then pick something else up and just write it off or start feeding differently. But sometimes you just got to give it a bit of time, have a few casts, give it the benefit of the doubt. Now the feeding's going to be mega now, I'll be absolutely honest with you. I don't know what to expect, but I've never, even when I've done alright on here, I've never felt as though I've got my feeding right, ever. There hasn't been a single match, because you get spells where you catch 2 or 3 or 2 and then you can literally go 40 minutes without, so that was a bite straight away there. You can literally go half an hour, 40 minutes without another fish. On nearly every occasion, it's one of them where you're not sure if it's because you've fed too much or not enough, because it'll just die on you. Now, as far as I know, there aren't predators in here, not pike, so you can't really blame predators, but there's some big perch. But so I've never felt like I've had the feeding right, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens now. I'm going to keep it really, really simple. Just going to keep them dead reds going in and the ground bait, and that is it. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. But remember to keep feeding that short line, because I don't normally do that on here. I think I just need to get my head down on this line and just try and work it out and try and put some fish in the net. we're just coming up to the 2 hour stage now, and I've had a little run of fish, a mixture really, no big fish, probably 4 ounces the biggest, but some of them, as you know, probably half an ounce. I'm up to 20, I've got 24 fish now. I've had to give them some worm, really had to push it with a worm. We're experimenting with maggots and casters, occasionally a few micro pellets, but it was getting a little bit too messy. Bites kept coming and going, and I couldn't pin them down. Then I'd have spells where I'd be missing a few bites, and so I just switched to just worm, and that's where my run of fish came from. It's just gone a little bit quiet now, so all I'm putting through now is worm, quite finely chopped, minced if you want to call it that. See, feels a decent. See, it's ticking over, but like I said, I have no idea what's getting caught around me. Yeah, I've no idea what's been caught around me. I've heard the lad on my right. I think I've heard him net a couple of fish and drop them in the net. But other than that, I just haven't got a clue what's getting caught. Other than I did hear not long ago when the lads came round. He said that the lads over on the early peg numbers, one of them, he had 35 fish in the first half an hour. So like I said this morning, you know, there are lads that are going to come here and fish with 3 metre whips, 4 metre whips, and some of them will do it for the full 5 hours. So I'm obviously not going to beat them on numbers. I'm just not going to beat them on those sorts of numbers. But obviously the fish that they're catching are not fish that I can really be targeting anyway. So I've literally got to try and find a way of, you know, keeping these fish going would be nice. See, they're lovely stamp, aren't they? If you can keep catching those, you're going to pull a lovely net of fish together, and that's not including any bonus fish that might come along. Fishing the way that I'm fishing, you could easily latch into a 2-pounder or a 3 or 4-pounder even, because they are in here. So just ticking over on this, trying to be as efficient as I can, but try and come back with fish, but keep ticking over. I don't want to be having to sit and hope I'm going to find some 2 and 3 pounders, like, you know, because I don't want to be doing that. If I can tick over putting fish in the net and then any bonuses come along, then that's the only way realistically I'm going to get the sort of 15 to 20 pound that I need minimum. So that's where I'm at now. I'm just trying to be as efficient as I can with this, keeping the bites coming, trying not to get too many fish in the peg, and, you know, stop missing bites and foul looking fish and all that, and just try to keep coming back with a fish. And if I can single out the, you know, these 3-4 ounce skimmers, then that's got to be the way to go. I'm still feeding that pole line. I've had a quick look on it, and all I caught were 2 or 3 of them straight away on the drop. They were just hammering it. So I'm still feeding it. I'm going to keep putting some ground bait in on it, and just try and fish it or use it more of a bonus fish line if I can. You know, keep putting some ground bait in and hope some skimmers will arrive on it at some stage. So I could just keep trying it, but at the minute, this is, you know, this has been definitely the best line up to now. Well, the swim has got a little bit quiet, to be honest, so I was just considering changing. Well, just had a quick bite. Oh, look what I've got. Biggest of the day. Brilliant, that's what I need. Maybe that's why it went quiet, I don't know. Or maybe because it's gone quiet and there aren't as many small fish there, that's why I've caught that one, who knows. I'm just going to stick at it now. Stick on this line. I'm not getting any signs on this pole line, so I'm just going to keep ticking over with this line, and hopefully, as well as catching those small fish, I'm going to pick out 1 or 2 bonuses as well. So I'm holding the rod now, I'm not butt resting it anymore, just because a lot of the bites today have come really quick while I've been tightening up, so much easier like that. Much easier to pick up on them if you've actually got the rod on your knee. I'm not leaving it in that long anyway, to be honest. I think it's important to be active. See if these keep coming as well. So encouraging, especially if it's going to might get better later on. Well, I've just given that line a rest. I topped it up and thought I'm just going to give it a rest. It was going nowhere. I'm up to 36 small fish now. I've just gone back on my 12 metre line. Now about that. Don't need many of them to get you 15 pound here, with all your other fish as well. Fantastic. It's after a rest that, so I'm hoping obviously more of those are going to appear. It's a small fish, that one. Small fish, might be a little skimmer, 2 or 3 ounce. A bit bigger than that. Brilliant fish to be catching. It's just turned 2 o'clock, so we've got an hour and a half left now. I've now got exactly 50 fish on the clicker. Call them 50 small fish. Some of them are those 2, 3, 4 ounce skimmers. And then I've got 2 net fish. You know, I've got that decent bream, if you want to call it a bream, and then that other one that I had early on, around £1 pound. So I'm just ticking over nicely. You've got to get feeding so right, you know. If you don't get it right, the peg it either dies or it just blows up with small fish. You know, those little tiny roach, and I've even hooked a couple of them on the way down. You know, the hook's just pulled into them. They're only ½ an ounce, some of them. So, like I said right at the beginning, you know, feeding is so important on this place. And I think up to now, I think at times, I think I've got it about right at times, but other times, it's such a fine balance. I've actually lost a fish as well that's broke me. I don't know what that was, you know. I didn't really have it on long enough to tell what it was. It broke a bit easy, to be fair, and it broke a little bit too quick. You know, I kind of hooked it and it went and then broke, and I think it broke because it cut me off. Now I don't know if there are any pike in here, I don't know, but there are some big perch in here, so that could have just broke it, or it could have been a tench, which was a bit disappointing. But there's 90 minutes left. I'm just ticking over with bits of, well, double maggot's been good, single maggot, double maggot, and pieces, just bits of worm as well has been quite good at times. But I have had to feed hell of a lot of worm. I brought a kilo with me today and I've fed over half of it already, believe it or not. So I'm obviously going to continue doing that. But I really feel like, you know, I'm having a nice day's fishing. I don't think I'm going to get the weight that I need without 2 or 3 more bream. So that's what I'm obviously hoping is going to happen. I'm still feeding that pole line, but it's been a waste of time. I'm feeding it a lot less frequently now. Just more of a big fish line. I'll just keep trying it. See if any bream settle on it later on. But at the minute, it's just working this 12 metre line out. Trying to, by staying on it, I'm hoping I can feed it right, if that makes sense, because I'm in touch with it. And then it's just a case of if I can keep putting those small skimmers in the net, that's great. But I really feel I definitely need 2 or 3 bream. Well, we're into the final hour. It's 2:30, and to be fair, there hasn't really been that much to show you or share with you, to be fair, because I'm still only on this one line, still on that 12 metre line, just ticking over really. I haven't had any more net fish. I'm up to 57 now. I've got 57 small fish. The majority of them now are those little skimmers, you know, 2 to 4 ounce, if you want to call them that bracket. But I've still only got those 2 decent, or what I call decent net fish. One's about £1 and one is approaching probably £2, the one that you saw. I haven't got the weight that I think I need, you know. Right from the start I felt I needed, is that a better fish? 15 to 20 pound to stand a chance of winning today. I haven't got that at the moment. Obviously there is time, there's another hour yet. I'm not going to get that weight of just small skimmers, so I am needing some net bream to turn up. Obviously this time of day can be the best time of day for that, and I'm very confident that they can easily rock up on this line, but it's a case of can I pick them out. Had I known that that pole line was going to be a bit of a waste of a time for me, obviously starting on the method feed along didn't produce anything. I haven't been back on that, because the more that I fished this line, the more I felt that this was going to be the more important line for everything. See, there's every chance of picking bream up on this line. I've already had a 2-pounder on it, you know, and it's easily far enough out into the lake. I just think if I can get my feeding right, I'll keep these bites coming while they end, and then occasionally try a bigger hook bait, like a bigger piece of worm, or 2 pieces of worm, 3 or 4 maggots. I think that's my best option. You know, I don't really want to come off these fish, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to continue fishing this line. I'm not going to come off feeding fish, and what I'm going to do is just keep trying a bigger bait every now and then, and just see if I can pick out a bream or 2 to get me up to that weight, what I think I need. There are 40 minutes left and I've hooked a bream. This can be the best time of day for picking these out. These are what I need to get me up to that, what I think, that 15-20 pound. I thought I've got more of the landing net left there, but I've only got 2 pieces. Well, that is exactly the target. There's 40 minutes left. We've got 10 minutes left and I've hooked another bream. It's just really gone quiet. Not as big as the other one, but very, very welcome. Get back in, see if there's any more there. 9 minutes left. Time! That's it. Well, that's it. It's over. It's 3:30. A little bit, I'm going to say disappointed, but to get a bream with 40 minutes to go, I honestly felt that I might have had a little bit of a visit there and caught a couple. I did get one more net fish, one more net skimmer, but I can't really call that one a bream as such, but who knows what I've got weight wise. The clicker says 74 fish plus 2 bream. So as you know, there are lots of different shapes and sizes, but most of them are those sort of skimmers that are about, I don't know what they'll weigh, 3 ounce a piece maybe, something like that. So I've got over 10 pound. So I'm going to get some gear packed away. It was a waste of time putting that pole up. That's something I definitely need to think about, the way that I approach that if I'm going to bring the pole here with me through the autumn. So I haven't heard anything about what's been caught, other than they were catching on the whips earlier on right down there at the other end in the early pegs. Other than that, I haven't heard anything. So it's going to be a complete mystery. So I'm going to get some gear packed away and wait for the scales. I'll just bring a feeder on. Thank you. Lovely, thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. I never really tried to guess my weight, but I thought I must have got 10-12 pound maybe of those little skimmers, but I've only had the 2 bream, so those skimmers have weighed a little bit more than what I estimated. Some of them are 4 ounce, but what a lovely day's fishing. 17 pound 8. It's going to be interesting to see how that fares, because that usually is in the ballpark. And I've just had a quick look at the board. That is the top weight up to now.